small to medium-sized tree remaining shrubby and producing full-size crepe papery flowers. Crepe myrtles have a long bloom period, eye-catching exfoliating bark, and bright fall color. Limelight hydrangea will create a dense, deer-resistant screen that requires no special care other than an occasional pruning to encourage new growth. Many viburnums on the market grow well as flowering hedges. Most produce clusters of white or delicate pink flowers in early spring. Summer sweet is a pretty shrub with pink or white flowers that's fragrant and very attractive to butterflies and bees. It's one of the few shrubs that bloom well in shade. I'm Kathy Isom, Southeast AgNet.
When it really counts, depend on the source for the latest weather updates, keeping you ahead of the storm. 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
We'll have a cooler day with occasional rain. High today 56 to 68. Then look for a shower this evening. Otherwise, cloudy skies tonight. Low 47 to 55. Cloudy in the morning Wednesday. Then a mix of clouds and sunshine in the afternoon. High tomorrow 64 to 66. Plenty of sunshine Thursday. High 66 to 71. Clouds and sunshine Friday. High 71 to 77. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Holly Holdren.
You know what you want to do in retirement, but do you know how to get there? Join Gary and Don Crawford of Pinnacle Retirement Advisors for Retirement with Pinnacle, Saturday mornings at 9 to get answers to your retirement planning questions. Plan today so you can do the things you've always dreamt about doing in retirement. Don't miss Retirement with Pinnacle with Gary and Don Crawford, Saturday mornings at 9. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Ocala Talks this hour is brought to you in part by Blockers Furniture.
Auto repair with personal care. We know what we're talking about. Matt Gibbs and the guys over at Sunrise Automotive will treat you right. We'll treat you right.
That's right. It's time for Auto Repair with Personal Care with Matt Gibbs from Sunrise Auto. Matt, good morning.
Good morning, Tom.
Slept in a little this morning, huh?
I did.
I was bringing my car over to get fixed.
But you slept in too.
Yeah, I didn't. It was about 8:30 this morning. I go, God, I was supposed to stop and drop my car off at Sunrise. So I kind of forgot to.
Yeah,
so.
I understand. I'm out here at the
it's
airport.
One of those days you can forget things.
Yeah, I'm out here. We're looking at the airport. We're looking at the rain and the sky.
It is a little overcast day today. But this is the day where people say, I can't get out in my garden. I can't get out and do anything. I'll just take my car to go get an oil change today or something. That's how people think.
You ought to go by Sunrise Automotive right now.
It's probably a little overstocked right now.
We got some folks there.
Now, because you are a shop that you're a full-service shop, are you still able, if somebody just does a drop-in, do you suggest drop-ins for oil change or still call and make an appointment and stuff like that?
Typically for an oil change, we can pretty much get it done. But I do appreciate a call. It's just so we can switch things around a little bit. But if it's something dire, if it's an emergency, then we always have flexibility, so to speak.
Right. If I pull in the yard and I'm downshifting and everything, using my transmission to stop the car because my master cylinder's shot and I'm spewing brake fluid everywhere, you can usually get me in.
Or at least get it diagnosed and figure out what we need to do, and then we can get you home.
Right.
We'll figure something out.
I said that like I knew what I was talking about because I had a Nissan Pathfinder that happened on. I went to press the brakes, and the brakes went to the floor, and I kept going out into West University Avenue off 12th, right there where when I ran Mellow Mushroom. I'm going right out into traffic. Luckily, traffic stopped and everything, so I didn't get hit because I literally put the brakes to the floor. It didn't stop. It was still doing 20 miles an hour. So I pull into the hardware, the parts store there, and this is, those old Pathfinders, you know where to put brake fluid. You can do it. It's right there, the little square thing up on top of the motor.
Yeah.
So I put the thing in there, and the guy's standing out there with me, and he's looking at this because he's a Nissan guy. He's looking at it and everything. I crank it up, and I pump the brake. He goes, "Stop doing that." I go, "Why?" He goes, All you do is putting brake fluid on the ground. The master cylinder was so shot that you put oil in there, press the brake, it just shot brake fluid right on the pavement. So
it was done.
It was time to get that fixed. It was time. No, I like that truck, so we got that fixed. We got that fixed, but it was I'd never experienced pressing the brake to the floor.
It does something to you.
And the car not stopping.
Yeah, it does something to you.
I'd never experienced that in my life.
It makes your heart rate change.
And it was on West University Avenue, which is if you've never been to Gainesville, where the Mellow Mushroom was located was one block from the cross section of 441 and University.
Okay.
So we're not talking about an area that's not well traveled. So all I could see was I was fixing to get T-boned. But luckily I didn't.
Yep.
And, about $900 later, the brakes worked again. Because they had to replace a lot.
Yeah, it probably was time.
Whenever you're shooting brake fluid straight on the pavement, that's not good. Yeah. That's not good.
I actually got in a Cadillac that I knew didn't have no brakes. None. Zero. And I drove it down to after hours, from my shop to after hours to sell it to him because the car wasn't even worth fixing.
Right. So you milked it using low gear.
Yep, first gear.
Yeah.
And a parking brake as a way to slow it down.
Now, why is it that if your brakes go, your parking brake still works?
Because your parking brake is a mechanical device. So when you mash that pedal, it just pushes out the shoes.
Right.
Or compress. Or like a lot of the new cars, they actually have like rear disc brakes. But the rotor is not just a rotor. It's a rotor/drum. And then inside the rotor is a drum, and that's where your parking brakes are. So, but when you mash that down, it just expands them, and it's just a mechanical device. It's not
has nothing to do with your brakes, right?
It's a parking brake.
It's a parking brake. It's not an emergency brake.
But in the case of an emergency, you can use your parking brake.
It is not designed to snatch up at 40 miles an hour on a wet grass field.
Yes, it is. It is designed.
Oh, it certainly is. I've done more than my share of 360s snatching the emergency brake. I had a 1987 Volkswagen Rabbit. And you could pull that you snatch that emergency brake up, and woof, 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 do circles.
You know what's really cool? No, it's just me and you, right?
Right. Okay. Nobody's listening.
So it's when you're driving with somebody and they're going through a corner
and they don't know. Oh yeah. Oh,
especially on a day like today.
All the time. And that Rabbit, we did something very unique with that Rabbit that I think if we'd have marketed it, we had an entrepreneurial thing that was gold, Jerry, gold. We drove around with that. We had the Craco stereo,
Oh, I remember those.
Craco, baby.
Yeah.
And we had speakers that rode in the back seat.
Oh yeah, in a box.
No. These speakers actually, we hooked them up with the wires and everything because they were our house stereo speakers.
Okay, I got you.
But you could put them out on the hook on the roof. Right.
Yep.
And we took the trunk. If you know those Volkswagen Rabbits, they had that big deep trunk in the back with the hatchback.
Yeah.
We lined that thing with styrofoam. And then my buddy Joe, because I'm not mechanical at all, he caulked it and everything to make it waterproof. That thing will hold a keg. Yeah. You can plop a keg right down in it, put ice in it and everything, get the shop vac to get the water out when the ice melted and everything. And we were a rolling party, brother. 19 years old, 20 years old, with a Volkswagen Rabbit that had a great stereo system and a keg.
How much did you charge?
Depending on whether you were a girl or a guy. If you were a girl, it was negotiable. If you were a guy, $5 for the solo cup.
Yeah.
You know the prices. Why do you even ask?
Yeah, I was just saying. I was making sure that back in my stupid days, I was within the
Our
lines.
stupid days were real close.
Yeah.
Yeah. $5 for the solo cup. All you could drink.
Yeah. Yep.
But we'd only stay in a place until the girls were there. So if the girls left and you paid your $5, only got one beer, that was on you, bro.
Well, could they follow you?
We'd rather you not. So on a day like today, with brake systems and all, this day used to be harrowing. But now with anti-lock brake systems and all, these wet roads and all, really aren't that big a deal anymore.
No, they're really not. I mean, not just with ABS brakes, but also traction control and StabiliTrax and stuff like that. The biggest thing that you got to deal with on a day like today is really your tires. As long as you don't have ABS lights or traction control lights or StabiliTrax lights, because on a day like today, if you're driving your car in, if you have a ABS light on, just understand you still have normal hydraulic braking, but there is no ABS. As long as if that light's on, it will not function. It will not work.
What if your parking brake, ABS, and StabiliTrax light are all on?
None of that's working.
So the parking brake won't even work.
Well, I think your parking brake may work. You'd have to on yours. You'd have to just activate it because yours is electronic.
Right.
So you'd have to activate it and just see if it's working. It may not work.
And all these lights are on with mine because you said a module's going out.
Because the module's going bad.
Could be nothing wrong with the StabiliTrax. It could work fine, but the module's not communicating with it properly.
Right, because it's not. We've talked about this before because I think we had 39 operating systems?
No. On the Cadillac, there were 39.
Yeah, on yours.
And we had messages from like 36 of them.
Yeah. And so we gotta and one of the things we gotta remember is that we call it the bus, and all these modules have to be able to communicate.
And that's the problem is this module is not communicating.
It's not getting
the
on
ABS
the bus.
could be fine, the StabiliTrax could be fine, but the communication is bad, and so it's not working.
Right. Well, one of the modules is probably bad, and that's why it's not communicating.
Right.
So and all these cars, all these modules have to be able to communicate, and everybody's got to get on the bus, so to speak.
Now, when you said tires, do you mean the temperature of the tires, or are you talking about tread on the
I'm talking about
tires?
the tread of the tires. You know, if you've got ball tires, your StabiliTrax and your anti-lock brakes, it's anti-lock brake. It's anti-lock. The brake won't lock. That doesn't necessarily mean you won't slide.
Because you don't have any tread on the
Because
tires.
you don't have no tread on the tires.
Tires aren't biting into
right.
anything.
There's no
Speaking
traction.
of that, I remember that we do a callback to last week's show. I remember you had a vehicle that you were driving that didn't have any that you had got one that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was a Nissan.
Were you safe?
Oh my, no. It wasn't safe to drive at all.
But it was strictly because of the tires.
It was, the tires were. They were bald. I mean, they were like this.
You were running racing slicks.
It was terrible. This old Nissan. It was a Nissan Murano, I think it was, or a Quest. I think it was a Quest, a van.
Right.
I couldn't get the thing to not for the tires not to spin.
Is there? You always hear about tests for this and everything. Is that Lincoln penny test really a good test?
It really is.
Is it really?
Is, yeah.
You hold a penny upside down in the tread, and if Lincoln's head is visible,
Yeah.
you need new tires.
You need some tires. Which is about 430 seconds.
Right, because his hair, if his hair is visible, if it goes down below his hair, you're pretty good.
Yeah, you're pretty good. So it is a good little. But here's the other thing too: each tire has a wear indicator in between the tread.
Yeah, that little bitty piece.
A little piece. Yeah. So you need to look for that too.
If it's gone.
If the tire. So this van that I drove last week when we did the show, there was no indicator.
Oh, that's no good.
There was no tread.
You were driving a basketball.
It was a basketball with Vaseline on it.
Oh, that's no good. That's no good. That's not good. That's not even good to think about. It's not even good to think about.
I got a video on my phone I made yesterday. I'm not going to say no names. I can't say no names. But a guy brings a car in. This is his daughter's car.
Right.
And he's complaining of it, a shudder and a shake and a vibration.
Mm-hmm.
So he heard. So he brought it in and wanted me to take it for a ride. He dropped it off. So, and it's been going on for a while now.
Right.
Daughter says something. Dad doesn't really pay him much mind.
Certainly.
Dad has to take the car to go do something.
Now Dad realizes how bad it's riding.
With his 16-year-old daughter driving the car.
Oh, this ain't good.
So I literally took a video
of
what was going on.
The tires were coming apart?
Oh, my gosh. At 20 miles an hour, the steering wheel was going like this with my hands off the steering wheel, shaking back and forth.
Uh-huh.
You couldn't even keep the car on the road at 20 miles an hour.
Right.
You let go of the steering wheel, it took a right turn, Charlie.
Yeah. I know this because I drove the Cadillac. When I got the Cadillac, it had nice tires on it when I bought it. And I drove it till it didn't have nice tires on it. And I drove it in to get new tires. And the place I drove it into goes, "You like living dangerously?" I go, "What do you mean?" They brought me out. All 4 tires were coming apart because that's how they'd run out of tread. They were coming apart. He goes, how you haven't been died in the last month and a half, 2-3 months, because these tires have been this way a while. He goes, "How bad's the steering wheel shake?" I go, "Like you wouldn't believe." He goes, "No, I believe it." I believe it. But all 4 tires were coming apart.
And that's usually what happens. One will come apart, and it'll cause the other ones to. It's just like it creates a domino effect.
And by the way, folks, when your tires come, if you get brand new tires, not retreads, you get brand new tires, and you drive them to the point where they're coming apart, that's not good.
No, it's not good.
They're not designed to come apart.
No, nope. It's time to go get some more tires.
Was that what was happening here? The
Yeah.
tires coming apart?
Yeah.
It sounded good,
Yeah,
with the shaking and everything, it sounded just like they were coming apart.
coming apart, and they were coming apart.
Now, and think about that, tires coming apart. And it was perfectly legal in this country for a very long time that they would put more tread on top of a bald tire called a retread, which would always come apart.
Always.
It would always come apart.
It's crazy.
I mean, I remember there was a big tire company in Jacksonville, Roberts Retreads. That was, he had like 6 or 7 shops around Jacksonville where he marked people. It was a big deal in the 70s getting retread tires.
Yeah. Recappers.
Yeah, recaps. And all they were doing was basically gluing rubber on top of rubber.
That's it.
Not heating it or anything, just gluing it on
Put it
top.
on there.
Man,
That's crazy, isn't it?
we lived dangerously, didn't we?
We don't do that no more.
Yeah, we also, used to let kids nap in the back window of cars without seatbelts too.
Ride your bicycle with no helmet.
Yeah, we would chase. The dumbest thing we ever did as kids, when I think about it as an adult, ride with seatbelts, ride in the front windshield, the back windshield, all that. Chasing the mosquito man on your bicycle, the dumbest thing we ever did. We're just breathing in bug kill.
I know. I wonder why I keep slowing down.
And our parents had no problem with it. Said, Mom, it's a mosquito truck. Go get it. Go get it. We're breathing in insecticide. And you were pedaling your rear end off to keep up, so you'd be the best person keeping up. You'd be faster than your buddies. I'm fine.
Yeah.
But I bet you do see some. I tell you, one of the funniest things that I ever saw was I was dating a girl named Carrie in college, and she had a Nissan Pulsar. Remember the Nissan Pulsars?
I do.
She had a Nissan Pulsar. Bought it brand new. So it blows up on us coming down I-16 from Atlanta back towards Statesboro. Blew up. And when I say blew up, threw a rod or a piston, something, out the driver's side quarter panel. Looked like a shotgun had went off. Boom. Sounded like a shotgun, boom. Car immediately shudders to a stop. Done. Motor seized up, locked up, done. So we get it towed back to Statesboro, and her dad comes down from Atlanta. And I'll never forgive her, Frank, her dad, Frank. We get it up to the Nissan place, and the Nissan guy comes out and he goes, "Sir, there's not a stitch of oil in it that's been in this car for a while. It's not that it was drained out. There's not been a stitch." He goes, "Stitch of oil? Hold on." He looked at Carrie, and you can't make this up. He goes, "Carrie, when was the last time you got the oil change this thing?" Now, she'd had this car for 2.5 years, had put 28,000 miles on it, driving back and forth, Atlanta, school, and everything. She goes, literally looked right at it without missing a beat and goes, "Why do I have to get the oil changed? Didn't they put oil in the factory?"
There you have it.
She had drove this 4-cylinder high-temperature motor for 2.5 years, had never changed a drop of oil in it.
Wow. That's actually pretty good if you stop thinking about it.
And wondered, she looked at her dad like he was speaking foreign. What do you mean? Didn't they put oil in it in the factory? You have to see, in your career, you've had to see dumb things like that quite a bit.
Oh, I saw one where a lady came in for her 30,000-mile service, right? So I get the car, I'm lifting it up, 30,000 mile service. Part of that is change the oil. Well, when I look up at the oil filter, I notice this. It's the original oil filter, because the original oil filter was painted black from the factory.
Right.
All of GM's filters were painted black.
So she's 30,000 miles in with the original oil
with
filter.
the oil filter. So I take the oil plug out of the oil pan.
Sludge.
Nothing would come out.
Oh.
Nothing. I took the oil filter off. It just so happened that the Oldsmobile, the zone rep, was there that day. And so I went in and talked to the lady. I said, ma'am, I'm doing your 30,000 mile service. And she said, yes, sir. And I said, I don't believe you've ever changed oil. She says, no, I'm getting it done at now. 30,000 miles. No, ma'am, you should have had it done at 3,000 miles. Rut-row.
Yeah.
You know? So what I did was I literally pulled the oil pan off this engine.
There was metal shavings.
It was just, I took a stick that you mix paint with.
Yeah.
I put it in the middle of the oil pan and turned it upside down. And it stayed there. Well, the zone rep happened to be there that day. He was a super nice guy, and he was a really fair guy to people, you know.
Right.
And I said his name was Brooke Fay, and Brooke Fay was the zone rep for Oldsmobile side of things, and so I introduced those two together, and they ended up under warranty. They ended up putting a motor in this woman's car for under factory warranty. They warrantied it for her.
Even though they knew she had destroyed
Even though
it.
they knew that she did that, you know.
30,000 miles. That's what I'm here for, to get the oil change.
Well, I'm here.
Well, at least she knew she needed to get the oil change. This girl I was dating said, what do you mean oil? Didn't it come with oil from the factory?
Yeah, no.
We also talked her into going into AutoZone and asking them for blinker fluid.
Okay.
We got her to go to the Chevron and say she needed the air rotated in her tires.
You're just mean, Tom.
Well, hey, and if I'm fooling you with no mechanical inclination, you got to be pretty dumb.
I get you.
Although I know just enough through osmosis to sound like when I'm at places that I know, and I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. None. Like I'll tell you, prime example is, I won't say the name of the place, but there used to be a place in town, and they went out of business because of their business practices. There used to be a place in town that would offer the $99 brake job.
Yeah.
It was up on the boulevard right across from Charlie Horse. Pep Boys now.
Yeah.
Used to be there. Yeah. And they would get you in there, and then they would tell you, no, your brakes are so bad, it's going to be $900, and we legally can't put it back together to let you take it somewhere else.
Right, bull crap.
But I know, of course it was. And I knew just enough to talk the guy down, because he was like, well, once the caliper comes out like that, it's stuck out, you can't push it back in. I go, I bet if you put a C-clamp on it, you can push it back in. He goes, what do you know about C-clamps and calipers? I go, I know that you put that C-clamp on that caliper and tighten it down to push that caliper back in. You put them brakes back together, and we can go somewhere else instead of you trying to charge $900 for a brake job that should have been $99.
Actually, it was $89.
Right. Well, once he realized, and I didn't know whether a caliper could freeze or not, but I knew the way my dad put calipers in was he used a C-clamp to put it back in.
That's right.
So I said, do that. Guy, he put it back together. He goes, well, this is dangerous. I really don't feel right letting you have your vehicle. I go, yeah, but I own the vehicle, so it doesn't matter what you feel like. And we left and went somewhere else and got a brake job for $159.
Yeah, exactly.
But he was trying to, but I knew just enough to be able to get out of there without knowing any damn thing.
And back in the day, I tried to do that. I tried to do the $89.95 brake job. I tried to do that, and what I found out was, well, in order for me to do it at $89.95 and not cost me money, well, I have to buy the $6 brake pads that are strictly organic, no metallic in them whatsoever. That if you make 3 emergency stops,
they're press board basically.
Yeah, they're not good for anything anymore, And then I couldn't compete. So people come in because they were gonna. I knew what they were gonna do. They're gonna sell you a
bait and switch,
right. And so I just told folks I can't do it. I just can't do it. So I'm going to back up for a minute, and me and you were talking, and we're talking about brakes and how if I buy something that's lifetime warranty, I extend that to my customers.
Right.
So our conversation kind of bothered me last week.
Right.
So I kind of we did a little in-house experiment. And I called a bunch of shops around town.
You found out that they more like what I told you than not.
I think I might be stupid.
No,
I'm serious. I sit there and thought, like, okay, I could do that. But then I'm like, nah, but I'm not going to do that.
It doesn't set well with your inside makings. You answer to a power that doesn't allow you to purposely cheat people.
Yeah.
Because you have to answer to the God Almighty, and your makeup won't let you do that.
Right. But I know other people that are God-fearing people. But they don't do that.
Well, and look, we're talking about places that get lifetime warranty on their brakes, but don't tell you. So every time you come in, they get the brake pads for free, but still charge you for it.
Right, exactly.
And that's a little shady to me. Yeah. And you found out calling around that more people than not do it that way.
Yep.
Speaking of more people than not, if more people want to find you, where can they find you?
You can give me a call at 352-690-1993, or you can come by and see us at 1800 Northwest 10th Street. That is Highway 27, right here in Ocala, Florida.
Matt Gibbs from Sunrise Auto Repair with Personal Care. He's here every Tuesday. Matt, talk to you next week.
Yes, sir.
We'll be right back after this timeout. You're listening to Ocala Talks, brought to you in part by Blockers Furniture, right here on WOCA, The Source.
Airport. This is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.